Game of inches. Game of inches. Normally, that's how we refer to baseball. It's amazing how that's not really a reference to football in American sports, because in baseball, they never really bring out a chain and measure something where something literally is measured in inches. And it happens all the time in the National Football League, every single week. And head coaches in this league who make it, who do what they need to do professionally, go from town to town to town to town in order to get a job and then move up the chain, or they play the sport and they're fortunate enough to get a job in the NFL and then finally put the headset on as head coach. And I can't believe some of these guys also call plays, because the decisions that have to get made all the time, it's ridiculous. It's insane. From clock management to go for it or not. Now, I am not a second guesser in this business. I truly am not. I will say right from the get-go whether you should go for something or not. And I am always of the mindset, go for it. Really. Truly. Now then, my job's not on the line when I say that sort of stuff from the couch or my Twitter feed. But if it makes complete and total sense to do it, and you have the job security to do it, and you have the personnel to do it, do it. If I'm a head coach, I'm going to do that 10 times out of 10. Now, I'm not saying go for it on 4th and 12 on your own 20-yard line. Obviously, there has to be some sensibility to it. But we saw a tale of two teams and situations in some serious, hard-hitting, physical, paint-swapping affairs. I don't know how many of you were able to catch nationally Los Angeles Rams at Seattle Seahawks, but I'll tell you what, that was your nasty crucible of a contest, and I want to give big-time kudos to the Seattle Seahawks locker room, coaching staff, team. Earl Thomas flips the bird at either his coach or the general manager's or owner's box or whatever he was doing. Earl Thomas, heart and soul of the 12s. No doubt maybe that locker room as well, although we have no idea really what was going on in there last couple of weeks. He breaks his leg, flips off the team, carted off, done. And I honestly, from my 2 cents, thought that meant the Seahawks were done. I even grabbed the hot take plank last week and 4th down and said that the Rams could win the game by 10 games, win the division by 9-10 games, and they may still just. But, man, the way the Seahawks showed up yesterday, and that offense, son of Marty, Brian Schottenheimer, I mean, the Rams had no idea who had the ball. It was great, and they were gashing the Rams up the middle.
Hey, Marcus Peters looked terrible yesterday.
I mean, wide open receivers. Russell Wilson was playing a hell of a game, getting out and blocking downfield for the running backs that were running free on the read zone stuff. And the undefeated Rams were in trouble on the road. They lost both Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks to concussions. I mean, there was some serious hitting going on. And Sean McVay, with 1:39 to go, up two, 4th and inches from his own 43. He sent the punt team out for a second. I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is not Sean McVay. This is not the Sean McVay that I've known. Seattle called a timeout. And once Seattle called a timeout, guess what Sean McVay did? Put his offense in there. And Jared Goff sneaked it. Seahawks used their last timeout. Nice little Jedi mind trick from Sean McVay, who said after the game, we attack success. Come on. I want to run through a wall hearing that right now. We attack success, says the defending reigning coach of the year of the now 5-0 Rams. That ended the game. Could have sat there and go, well, oh gosh, what if we don't make it? If we don't make it, then we give Seattle. They basically would have lost the game. Essentially, only it was 1 first down for Seabass, who probably would have split the uprights. Now, you could also say, well, he's got the benefit of being, reigning coach of the year. He's not getting fired. They're 4-0. There's lots of room for error. Okay, you try and put the headset on. Work that one out. And who has more job security than Jason Garrett, one would think, okay? Number of times that the Metroplex wanted this guy bounced. And in another serious physical, I sound like Michael Irvin right now, serious physical paint swapping affair. Paint swapping affair. That Sunday night game was awesome. In this day and age where everything is on tilt and sometimes you feel like you're watching a football game and it's 2 8-year-olds on a sugar high with a bag of Skittles spilled all over the floor playing Madden, and there's third down penalties for illegal use of hands or, holding, or the number of third down defensive penalties that give a fresh set of downs for an offense that's walking off the field otherwise. I've lost track, and it can get really annoying, to be very honest with you, and frustrating as a fan. Number of times that we've seen that this year, I've lost track. Then comes last night. That Jalen Smith, I'll tell you something here. I will say this about the Dallas Cowboys, which I have not said from this chair in the first 4 weeks. That team has grit. That team has grit and guttiness and determination, certainly on defense. Deshaun Watson, wherever he is today, he's probably one of your, cryogenic chambers, freezing in some sort of ice pack. I mean, they laid it on him. And the Cowboys, who were criticized for using a second-round draft choice on Jalen Smith a couple years ago when his leg was totally destroyed, that kid is dominant and laying the wood. And that Cowboys front seven is no joke. And they didn't even have Sean Lee last night. They were laying it thick on the Texans. And to me, that's a mindset. I was ready to come in here to say Jason Garrett, who gets criticized all the time. This team has a mindset. And you know what's making plays? Dak made one of the most incredible plays of the year we would be talking about today if Jason Garrett hadn't punted and leaving to a Texans final drive in overtime that had DeAndre Hopkins with the current clubhouse leader for the play of the year. But Dak's play, where he eluded 2 pass rushers, one of whom was J.J. Watt, who you got to give it up, Brockman. He's defensive player. What he is doing right now is comeback player of the year stuff.
He's playing great.
Awesome.
He's playing great.
But Dak got out of that, created all sorts of time, made a play down the field.
Sure did.
Okay. Dak making plays. Tavon Austin showing up.
Fun, entertaining game.
Exactly.
Just
bad. Eluding the J.J. Watt rush. We're watching it now. Another defender, and then leaping down the field. What a throw against the grain of his body.
Right at the line
Austin
of scrimmage.
Came up with it. So now it comes down to it, Garrett, when it's all on the line, and it's 4th and 1 in overtime from Houston's 42. The other team, plus side of the field, he punts.
Inexcusable, man.
He punts. Now, Zeke was stoned on 3rd and 1 right before it.
So what? Todd Gurley got stoned twice at the goal line. Guess what McVay did? Gave it to him a 3rd time, touchdown.
You've got to go for it. And that's not 20/20 hindsight. I thought it at the time. What are we doing? You got that offensive line. You got Zeke. Go for it. And they were scheming too. They were doing all sorts of different misdirections with Austin and other guys. They were scheming last night in a way that we hadn't seen Linehan do. I can't believe they punted. And then guess what? DeAndre Hopkins goes nuke mode. That was unbelievable. The spinorama, whirling dervish, physical play. What a great, and it's just, again, wouldn't have happened if the Cowboys maybe had kept the ball. And if the Cowboys had given it up on the 42 and they lost the game, at least you went for it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.